Greetings, traveler. Much to my disbelief, you and perhaps 100 other travelers have been around long enough to make this channel, this podcast, reach 100 subscribers. I know it's not exactly Mr. Beast numbers, but to me it's really important. I really appreciate you watching and I really appreciate your feedback. So today, I think for this episode, I want to make a baby celebration of that. Talk a little bit about the road here, the road ahead, and also give you a bonus story that might help some of you out there. So, road to here was about 3 months ago. The channel Weekly Fascination did an interview with me, and the feedback from that interview was that there was more people that wanted me to talk more about life, game development, games, and all the troubles and relations we have along the way. In the road ahead, I hope to dive more into these topics, particularly about game development, all the common issues that we face making games, and everything that happens in the games industry that sometimes is not the best practice, sometimes makes no sense, and what we can do, each one of us, from our perspective to do better. So, together with that, for today I want to give you a bonus story from my past that maybe it's a little obscure and difficult to apply to everyone, but hopefully it conveys the point that no matter where you are in the games industry, no matter where you are right now and what you want to do in the future, definitely always a way forward. In fact, there are several ways forward, but sometimes we cannot see them. So let me share this story of me, and perhaps it will motivate some of you out there, or specifically you, traveler. So back in the day, I had already graduated computer science. I had done some artificial intelligence university, and I foolishly thought I could just find a job. Unfortunately, I wanted to come to Japan and find a job here. So not really knowing the language, not knowing the culture here, particularly the working culture around the games industry, I felt completely out of place, and I literally didn't know where to start. So after a series of fortunate events, I got an interview with a large mobile game company here in Tokyo. I said that I would like to work as an engineer back then, because I thought since that was my education, that's all I could do. So I was lucky enough to talk directly to their CTO. He said, well, we like your motivation and your love of games, but you have no working experience as an engineer. So we can't let you start working as an engineer. So that felt very strange for me because, of course, I had just finished my education. How could I have experience working as an engineer? Later on, I found out the system Japan operates under, and things made a little more sense, but regardless, there was nothing I could do at that time. So he said, but because we like your motivation, we have a tester position for you. So it wasn't exactly my dream job at the time, but I thought, well, at least it pays. It's some money for me to start being independent with. So I decided to take it. And let me tell you, despite my love of games, testing is a really arduous process. So any new feature that gets implemented in a game, any new event, anything like that, needs to be tested to make sure that it functions properly. This sounds very obvious. And in fact, to some, and even to myself at some point, it sounds like a fun job, right? You're getting paid to play games all day. That is technically true. But you're paid to play the same part of a game that's not working properly. And if it is working properly, then there's nothing for you to do anymore. So it's a very strange slice of development. Particularly, my task at the time was to work on this gacha drop mechanic, and I just had to make sure that the things that were dropping in the gacha were indeed dropping correctly. So because some of them had really, really low probability of dropping, there was the fear in the team that perhaps there's an error in the database or something and they might not drop at all. And since those very rare things were the focus of that event, we had to make sure they dropped. So For about 3.5 hours, me and three other testers were constantly using this gacha to open packs again and again and again, in the debug menu to add as much money to our account as we wanted, just to make sure that these rare items dropped. And indeed, after 3.5 hours, it was already 8:30 at night. One of the guys got it. He stood up. He was so excited. I don't know if it's normal to have a tester so excited. And he's like, I got it. I got it. So he was excited because finally we could go home for that night. So I saw that and I thought, well, you know, of course, testing it by hand is good and it's important. But surely such a repetitive task could be done by a script or a program or something like that. So that weekend I went home and I thought, well, if I wanted to make a little program that does that and make it so that it's not invasive and it doesn't change the game system and the development ecosystem in any way, what could I do? Long story short, that was the first time I came across a scripting language called AutoHotkey. It's based on Lua, and it's really good with manipulating things around Windows, such as moving the mouse and doing button clicks and stuff like that. So, and it also has access to the clipboard, which is super useful for this. Long story short, I developed a simple prototype to move around the gacha screen and automatically add money to the account and just keep drawing the gacha until the name of the item came up. So then it would stop and it would show a little message that you got what you were looking for. I went to the tester leader the week after that and I said, look, I know my job is to be testing, but actually I would like to take some time off that to develop script that I think I can make to do basically all of our gacha testing automatically. And when I said that, his face turned kind of white and he's like, you can do that? I said, yeah, I went to school for programming, so I have a little bit of confidence in that. Is it okay if I do it? He's like, yes, like with the same white face. So long story short, I spent the next 2 weeks working on that a bit more. I made it so you can search for more items at a time, and the report was a little bit more complicated. I added a simple UI. And basically I thought, well, this isn't just a tool for me, right? Anybody in the tester team could use this tool to automate that part of the gacha testing so they can use their human capabilities and capacities to do more high quality game testing stuff, which I thought was very important. So I did that. I showed it to the team. I showed them how it works. They thought it's easy for anyone to understand. And they spread it around the team, and testing became a lot smoother after that. And then the engineer leader in that team said, can I have a word with you? Would you like to become an engineer? So through this very, very strange turn of events for me, like when I started doing this thing, I did it out of pure laziness. I think laziness is our greatest superpower as developers and as humans, perhaps. Because I was so lazy and I didn't want to do all this long testing and I felt bored, and I thought, well, if I'm getting bored when I'm doing the testing for gacha or for anything else for that matter, I'm not present in the moment. I'm not doing the check properly. And the tester's job is to do the checking properly. That's the one thing you have. So if you're getting bored or you're sleepy or you're distracting yourself with other things, what's the point, right? A program could do this so much better. So somehow my pure laziness opened up a way to become the engineer that I couldn't become through the normal interview process. So that showed me that, look, you never know what's going to happen ahead. There's not even a need to be impatient with these things, but if you just keep your eyes open and if you do what you can, and especially if you try to help people around you, people in the team, people in the game company, it will always have good results. At least that's my experience. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Thanks again so much for listening to this all these strange stories and all my strange thoughts about game development and the games industry. And as always, have fun.